What makes a business meeting successful? Welcome to another Wernicke video. My name's Ali Reza, and in this video we're going to talk about business meetings. The question that we want to focus on is what makes a business meeting successful? The goal of this video is to teach you some vocabulary, some phrasal verbs, and expressions that can be used when we talk about business meetings. This is aimed at helping you improve your business English. Now let's start with our first response, where I'm going to read you multiple responses, and the first one is about clarity and purpose. The question is, what makes a business meeting successful? And first we're going to learn two words. One is agenda. The word agenda is a list of items that we can discuss in a meeting. Any meeting has a list of items that need to be discussed, the subject, the questions that need to be addressed. That, as a whole, is an agenda. So the agenda is related to the topics that need to be discussed in a meeting. Another word is clarity. The word clarity means being easy to understand. If something is easy to understand, that's clarity. So let's try to answer this question ourselves using those two words, clarity and agenda. The question is, what makes a business meeting successful? My response would be, I suppose if you want a business meeting to be successful, you need to have a clear agenda. You need to know what needs to be discussed, and everyone, the participants, need to know about the agenda, the clear agenda, before they join in the meeting. So it's important to send the agenda to everyone and just make sure that you are as clear as you can be. Clarity really helps during the meeting. The persons who present their presentations, they need to make sure that they consider clarity in their presentations in the meeting. So there, I try to use those two words, clarity and agenda, in my response. I would like to encourage you to do the same. Pause the video, use those two words, agenda, which is the list of items, and clarity, being easy to understand. Use those two words and answer the question, what makes a business meeting successful? Now we can read the text that we have here. A meeting is successful when it has a clear agenda and purpose. Participants should know exactly why they are there and what the objectives are. This helps keep everyone on track and ensures that the meeting is productive. For example, if the goal is to decide on a marketing strategy, everyone should focus on that topic only. So here we're talking about purpose and clarity. You should have a clear focus and you should not change to different topics. Maybe you can use the parking lot strategy. If some other questions arise, you can just take notes and talk about them later in a different meeting, but your meeting should not lose focus. So that's about clarity and purpose. Now what I'm going to do is read this response part by part, and we're going to focus a bit more on the vocabulary. The title is Clarity and Response. The title of this response is Clarity and Purpose. Clarity and Purpose. So what is clarity? As we said before, clarity is the quality of being easy to understand. That's clarity. A meeting is successful when it has a clear agenda and purpose. We also talked about the word agenda before. Agenda is a list of items to be discussed in a meeting. Participants should know exactly why they are there and what the objectives are. So participants, who are the participants? Participants are those who take part in a meeting or in anything. So participants are those who attend any conference, meeting, whatever it is. Those who take part in something. Notice the phrase take part in. I like this expression, take part in something. Those who take part in something are participants. Okay, let's continue. It says, this helps keep everyone on track. So keep someone on track. What does it mean? If you keep someone on track, it means, or keep everyone on track, it means everyone focuses on what is important. Everyone focuses on the subject. Let's continue. and ensures that the meeting is productive. What is ensure? Ensure is to make certain that something will happen. So ensure means to make certain that something will happen. That's the meaning of the word ensure. And ensures that the meeting is productive. What is productive? Productive is producing good or useful results. A meeting that is productive achieves its goals. If the meeting achieves its goals, it is productive. Let's continue. We also had on track. We can learn the meaning of on track here. Focused on the main objective. That's the meaning of on track. Focused on the main objective. Okay, that's good for this response. We talked about clarity and purpose. Now we can continue with our second response. The second response talks about engaged participants. Engaged participants. First, let's the word engaged, what engaged means. The word engaged means actively involved in something. If you're interested in something, if you're actively involved in it, then you are engaged. So that's also the word engagement comes from that, engaged. Another word that we can learn is contribute. Contribute is to give or add something in order to help, achieve, or provide something. Consider this. We have a goal. For example, we want to, let's say there is a problem in the company and we want to solve it. Let's say the go-to example that I always use, the parking lot. We don't have enough parking space for the company, and this is a concern. We need to solve it. Or maybe we have a problem with the budget, and everyone gathers together in a meeting, and we need to find a solution. Now, everyone shares their ideas. They are contributing. We have a problem, we want to solve it, and everyone is giving their part, giving their ideas. So that's contribute, to give or add something in order to help achieve or provide something. That's the meaning of contribute. So two words we've learned here, engaged, which means actively involved, and contribute, to give or add. Now we want to talk about what makes a meeting successful, and we want to use those two words in our response. You may want to pause the video at this point and do it yourself, and I'm also going to try myself here. Okay, so I think if you want the meeting to be successful, everyone needs to be engaged. You need to make sure that somehow you need to make sure that everyone is actively engaged and they are contributing by sharing their ideas and thoughts. How can you do that? Maybe by asking questions directed at specific people. Maybe you can just make sure that the presentation is interesting. Just like use visual aids, maybe. Use something to make it interesting so that everyone is engaged, everyone likes the thing, likes the meeting, enjoys the meeting, and actively engages in the meeting and contributes. So I try to use those two words, contribute and engaged. Now let's read the response here. A successful meeting requires active participation from everyone involved. When participants are engaged, they contribute valuable insights and ideas. For instance, during brainstorming sessions, everyone should feel comfortable sharing their thoughts to foster creativity and innovation. So here we're talking about active participation and engagement. Let's read the response part by part. A successful meeting requires active participation from everyone involved. So we talked about this idea of active participation and engagement here. When participants are engaged, and we said the meaning of engaged before, engaged means actively involved or interested in something. When participants are engaged, they contribute valuable insights and ideas. They contribute as we said before means to give or add something in order to achieve or provide something. They contribute valuable insights. So what is an insight? Insights means deep understanding of a situation. That's insight, a deep understanding of a situation. They share valuable insights. They share their ideas and understandings. For instance, which means for example, during brainstorming sessions, everyone should feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. So what is a brainstorming session? You probably know this, but anyways, I'm going to read the meaning. It's a group activity to generate ideas. Everyone gathers together and shares their ideas. And no one tries to judge them, so that any idea is heard. For instance, during brainstorming sessions, everyone should feel comfortable sharing their thoughts to foster creativity. Foster means to provide an environment for something or to develop something. It means to encourage the development of something. If you encourage the development of something, you are fostering that thing. To foster creativity and innovation. What is innovation? Innovation is the introduction of new ideas. It's about creativity. It's about making new things. It's about generating new ideas. The introduction of new ideas and methods. That's innovation. All right, so that was our second response. After a quick pause, we're going to continue with our third response to the question of what makes meetings successful, business meetings successful. Now let's continue to our third response, which is about time management, effective time management. And this is, as you know, the cornerstone of successful business meetings. We're going to talk about time management, and I'm going to teach you two words related to this. One is the word concise. Concise means brief but comprehensive. So imagine this. I talk for some time and I give you a lot of information, but it's still very brief and short. Which is probably not true about how I present the information here, but just imagine that. So concise means brief but comprehensive. It contains a lot of information. It contains everything that is important, but still it is brief. It is brief. It is not very long. So that's concise. A concise presentation, a concise lecture. So when something is concise, it doesn't take up too much of your time. For example, concise communication is key in meetings. Yes, concise communication is key in successful meetings. So that's the first word, concise. The other word is run. As you know, run has lots of meanings. Interestingly, one of the meanings for run, as you know, is when you're walking too fast. The other one is to manage something, like you run a business. It means you are the manager, you handle it. And here it has a different meaning. It means to continue for a specific time. For example, I can say my last meeting ran for an hour. It means the last meeting lasted for an hour. Its duration was an hour. That's how long it was. So that's the word run, which here has a different meaning. For something to have a duration of a specific amount. I can give you another example. The class runs for 2 hours. It means this class is 2 hours long. So that's the word run. Here's an example. The meeting should not run longer than scheduled. The meeting should not run longer than scheduled to respect everyone's time. Yeah, if you want to respect everyone's time, you need to make sure that the meeting doesn't run longer than you planned. So those are two words, run and concise. And using those two words and talking about effective time management, we want to talk about what makes business meetings successful. I'm going to give my own response in a few seconds using those two words as a speaking practice, and you can do the same thing. I suppose it's best if you pause the video before I give you my response and try to respond to this question yourselves using those two words to practice your speaking and activate the words that you've learned. But let's go. My response. Effective time management is a cornerstone of successful business meetings, and if you want to make sure that participants are happy to participate in your meetings and for them to be engaged, you need to make sure that your explanations are concise and you're presenting all the things that you are presenting in a very concise way. You shouldn't explain things too much, more than necessary, like how I'm doing it right now. You shouldn't do this. You should present the information in a very concise way. And you need to make sure that the meeting doesn't run longer than you planned, because people have other commitments. And if the meeting runs for longer than that, that can create trouble, conflicting schedules, issues for everyone. And you may never have that important last few minutes of the meeting for Q&A and summing up and making decisions. If you allow for the first part of your presentation in a meeting to run longer than expected. So that's how you can have effective time management. You just need to have a clear agenda to make sure that each question that needs to be addressed has a specific time slot dedicated to it. So there I try to use those two words, concise and run. But now let's read the response we got here. Meetings are successful when they respect participants' time. Keeping the meeting concise and to the point is crucial. If a meeting is scheduled for an hour, it should not run longer unless absolutely necessary. This shows respect for everyone's time and keeps productivity high. So it says you should not allow for the meeting to run longer than expected, than planned, unless if absolutely necessary. I mean, okay, you have a very important business meeting and you absolutely have to make a decision and you have not yet reached an agreement. Maybe in some very specific situations you can allow for the meeting to run longer, but that should not be the rule. Now let's read it part by part. Meetings are successful when they respect participants' time. As you see here, the apostrophe is placed after the participants, the S. That's because participants here is a plural noun. Let's continue. Keeping the meeting concise and to the point is crucial. We learned the word concise before. It means giving a lot of information clearly and in a few words. Clearly and in a few words. A lot of information. That's concise. And to the point. To the point is basically the same thing. Like you don't just spend too much time explaining things. You just go directly to what you need to explain. That's to the point. If the meeting is scheduled for an hour, it should not run longer. So we said the word run. It means to have the duration of something. Unless, and this is an interesting word, unless means except if. You use the word unless to introduce exceptions. For example, I can say, you should never try to learn multiple languages at the same time unless if absolutely necessary. Like, generally, I do not propose this idea. I do not suggest it. I think it's best to focus on one language at a time, but maybe there is an exception. Maybe you need to learn them. You just absolutely have to. There is no other way. So that's when I introduce an exception, and I use the word unless. So unless is used to introduce an exception. It means except if. Again, the sentence says, if a meeting is scheduled for an hour, it should not run longer unless absolutely necessary. This shows respect for everyone's time and keeps the meeting or keeps productivity high. Wow. It ensures respect for everyone's time and keeps productivity high. All right. I think this is good. That's the last thing we wanted to learn here. Maybe we can also learn the word respect. Respect is regard for feelings or rights of others. For example, respecting time is a sign of professionalism. It's not just about respecting a person. You can also respect a thing because it's a right of someone. Okay, so that was our third response. Our fourth response is going to be about actionable outcomes. Actionable is able to be acted upon. For example, meetings should result in actionable steps. And I think you know the word outcomes. Outcomes is about the results or consequences, obviously. So we can use those two words to talk about how we can have successful meetings by talking about actionable items. You can use those two words. Remember, actionable is something you can act upon, something tangible, something you can really use to act, to do something. And outcomes is results. So what can I say about this? How can business meetings be successful? By the way, this is the point if you want to practice your speaking, to pause the video and respond to this question. But my response would be a meeting successful if everyone leaves the meeting with some kind of a task that they have been assigned. They know what they need to do. A decision has been reached. Let's go even further back. You discuss ideas. Everyone shares their ideas. They contribute. Okay, I'm using this word. I like it. They contribute by sharing their thoughts. Everyone is engaged. And then the team reaches some kind of a consensus or some kind of agreement. We decide what is best. After we've reached an agreement, then we assign tasks and say, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this. And it needs to be very clear. Everyone needs to leave the meeting with a clear head, clear mind. They know what they need to do. It's not like you're like more confused than you were before the meeting. After the meeting, you know exactly what you need to do. So that's about actionable items. And that's what can make a meeting successful. But let's read it here. A meeting should end with a clear, actionable outcomes. A meeting should end with clear, actionable items. Oh God. A meeting should end with clear, actionable outcomes. This means that everyone knows what the next steps are and who is responsible for them. For example, after discussing a new project, specific tasks should be assigned with deadlines for completion. Oh, here it also talks about deadlines, like whatever tasks you assign to your colleagues or your subordinates, you need to also assign a deadline for those tasks, time by which they need to be completed. Let's read it part by part. A meeting should end with a clear, actionable outcome, or a meeting should end with clear, actionable outcomes. We said the words actionable and outcomes, what they mean. Actionable is able to be acted upon, and outcomes is about the results and consequences. This means that everyone knows what the next steps are, obviously, and who is responsible for them. For example, after discussing a new project, specific tasks should be assigned. So what is assignment of tasks is when I give you a task, I'm assigning it to you. Assigned is designated for a particular task. With deadlines for completion, obviously, yes, you need to have deadlines. Deadlines means the latest time by which something must be completed. That's deadline. A deadline. When I read about the origin of this word deadline, it was very interesting to me. You can also read about how the word deadline came to be what it is today. Previously, it was literally a deadline. Like, you cross it, you'd be dead. Now, next one is about constructive feedback. We're still talking about the question of what makes business meetings successful. And we're talking about feedback and how feedback can be helpful for business meetings. Okay, so I want to teach you a few words here. One is the word constructive itself. Constructive is something that helps. It serves a useful purpose. Because I can give you feedback, I can give you destructive feedback, I can just complain and demotivate you, but I can also give you constructive feedback, which on its surface, you might not like it. It can be a little bit negative, but in fact, I want to help you. That's constructive feedback. We can also learn the word criticism. Criticism is the expression of disapproval. It depends on how you use it, but it could be used as the opposite to constructive feedback. Constructive feedback is used to help people grow. Criticism, if it is not followed by some suggestions, by the right intent, then it can just be whining, complaining. Here's an example. Constructive feedback is more helpful than mere criticism. Yes, I like this word mere here. Mere means only, without anything else. So mere criticism is when you provide criticism without any suggestions, anything to help. So using these two words, maybe we can talk about business meetings that are successful. You can make sure that your meeting is successful by providing constructive feedback after people share their thoughts. It could be anyone, your colleague, your subordinates, your supervisors. They share their ideas. In the brainstorming sessions, you do not judge. You just allow for any idea, however stupid, to be shared. And then once the team is close to a final arrangement, then you can share your constructive feedback, what you think about it, and how it could be improved. Then you might have a positive and constructive meeting. Now let's read the response here. A successful meeting often includes constructive feedback. This means that participants are encouraged to provide helpful, positive suggestions rather than just criticism. For example, instead of saying this idea won't work, one might say, how about we try this approach instead? So everyone is trying to positively share their thoughts. They're not like just saying, oh, this won't work, this won't work. They're trying to be their best and provide constructive, helpful, actionable feedback. So we've learned some words here. We talked about the word constructive. We said it serves a purpose, a useful purpose. Feedback, which is information about reactions to a product or a person's performance. When someone has a performance, they do something, they say something, you can provide information about that to them. That's called feedback. Rather than is instead of, rather than. We learned it in the second sentence. We used it in the second sentence. This means that participants are encouraged to provide helpful, positive suggestions rather than just criticism. So that's the word rather than there. It means instead of. We talked about the word criticism, and we said, sometimes criticism can be the same thing as constructive feedback if it is done properly. But if you say mere criticism, meaning that it is not accompanied by anything else, it means that it is just whining. Next word is the word approach. Approach is the way that you deal with something. And I like this word one in the last sentence. For example, let's look at the sentence. For example, instead of saying this won't work, one might say, how about we try this approach instead? So what does the word one mean here? Obviously, it's not the number like 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it means one person. It means a particular person or thing. That's the meaning of one. For example, one must be respectful when giving feedback during a meeting. Consider the sentence. One must be respectful when giving feedback. It means everyone, any person, any particular person. So that's the word one. And we had the word encouraged, which I suppose everyone knows about. So that was what we wanted to learn related to the topic of business meetings. Obviously, as you know, I'm not an expert on holding business meetings. I'm just sharing my thoughts and trying to teach you some vocabulary on the process. That's it. We learned a lot of vocabulary while trying to talk about business meetings, and I hope it's been helpful for you.